Welcome everybody back to the Norvise YouTube channel. I'm Shannon Messer, one of the Norvise ambassadors, and very honored to be one. And today I'm going to show you how to tie a jigged flashback pheasant tail nymph. This is a fly that can be fished anywhere from sizes 12 down to 16. If you get into the 18, you might want to omit the flashback on the underside of the hook here. You might want to put it on top, or you can knit it all together. I'm not really for sure how much more effective it is with or without that particular piece of material, but staying true to the pattern, I'm going to tie it with you today using the original recipe. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a size 12 jigged hook. This is a fulling meal. And I do get asked at times, number one, how do I store my beads? I store a lot of my beads in things like this here. But how do you get your bead onto your hook? So I have a pair of bead tweezers, and just to let you know, this bead is it's a 3.5 millimeter faceted bead, because that's what this pattern actually called for. So I'm going to put these to the side so I don't spill them. So the tweezers are made, it's got a little indentation there to hold your bead. You see, this is the part we're going to put on the hook first, and then there's your slot. I'll hold that up there for you. I'm just going to put it on there like so. I'll let go, and at that point we have attached the bead to the hook. That's really important with tiny beads, let me tell you that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab my Norvise auto bobbin that's over here on my post holder, and I'm going to start me a thread base here by making a few wraps. I'm going to trim away the excess, and I'm going to loosen the tension knob on my vise, and I'm going to rotate that until I get my thread to the area where the barb of the hook would be setting. This is going to be a tie-in point for my second material that we're going to use, which is some copper wire. I'm going to hold that on the side of the shank facing me, and I'm going to make some wraps, touching wraps, and I'm just going to spin it down once again, securing that. I want to get my bead pushed right back up there, and then I'm just going to quickly bring my thread back to where I'm going to tie in our next material, which in this case is going to be pheasant tail. I'm using a natural pheasant tail, but experiment with black. There's olive dyed pheasant tails. There is yellow actually, which is really good for some small nymphs here in the mountains of North Carolina, for that little yellow Sally stonefly that we get in the spring and the summer of the year. So I want to take these materials. I'm going to pinch them between my finger and my thumb and index finger. I'm going to spin my auto bobbin counterclockwise. I'm going to hold the spool. I want to get that thread to jump backwards so I can make somewhat of a pinching loop. I'm going to make two wraps. At this point, this is where I like to adjust that length by doing that. I'm going to raise up top, wrap, and now I'm just going to bring my thread up to the front of the hook. Secure, and then let it hang on my post, which is part of the Nor-vise fly tying system. Now I'm going to come into your living room or your iPhone or whatever you're watching this on, and I'm going to rotate this just like so. I want to come back over. I don't want to go all the way up, and the reason being, you'll see here in just a hot minute, is I need to tie in other materials. So there we go, just like that. Beautiful, boom, boom, boom. And I'm just going to rotate this, put it in one of the 4 indexing locking positions on my vise. Half hitch, beautiful. Now I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to counter wrap, go the opposite direction that I did, and bring that up here to the front. Bring my auto bobbin back over with my thread. Ain't that just money, folks? Just like so, it's secured, and now I'm going to helicopter that off so I'm not using my scissors to ruin them, because these things, as you know, can get quite expensive. So there you go. So we're here to this point. So what do we do next? Well, probably the hardest part is we're going to tie in some Semper fly mirror tinsel. This is a 1/32 or a 0.0 millimeter for those out there that's on the different measuring system. So I'm going to take this tinsel, I'm going to flip the fly, the nymph, upside down. I'm going to take and hold this in my left hand. I am right-handed. Once again, I've got my thread spun counterclockwise, and I'm going to start to manipulate that till I get it in position I need it to go. This is the hardest part, folks. And this is only like, I don't know how many times I've tied this. But here we go. There we go. Beautiful, just like so. All right, so what's the next thing we do? I'm going to put another half hitch, but y'all couldn't guess that. Now I'm going to get me some Peacock hurl here. We're going to tie that in, and we're going to make a chenille using the Norvise. And you will see this is pretty doggone cool. I'm going to take and I'm going to spin my Norvise. You see how that is laying up on that thread right there. It's making a chenille. It'll be no different than the chenille you use on a woolly booger or other flies. And now I'm going to make a few wraps just like that. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to capture just like so. I'm leaving space behind the bead, as you folks can see, because we got more materials to tie in, okay? Just like that. Put that in my Norvise wastebasket, which is probably the most underappreciated tool, is having somewhere to put your waste. Now, oops, sorry, hitting the camera there, folks. It's been one of those days. All right, so I pulled my flash over. I've wrapped on it a couple of different ways. I'm going to reach in there and trim it. And what you see here is you can see that flashback. And the reason why it's there, it's riding, in all theory, you want it to ride point up. Does it? I'm not a scuba diver. I can't tell you if it does or it doesn't. Odds are it's all over the place. So if you wanted to put it on the top side, perfectly fine. It wouldn't bother me at all to see it in the fly bins that way either. I would prefer to do it that way, to be honest with you, just because, number one, it's quicker to tie and it's just easier to tie. And when you tie a lot of flies, you want to tie better flies faster. Do everything you can to help you out. So what I done just then is I made me a dubbing loop, and I have already prepared some brown CDC fibers, and I've had them here. So what I'm going to do now is get a dubbing twister. You use the dubbing twister that you like. There's a lot of different ones on the market. So I'm going to slide that in there. I'm going to let go. I've got those trapped. Now I'm going to rotate. There we go. I want to make those fibers get locked in there quite nicely. I really like using CDC over some of the partridge, is the fact that you can take your fingers, and when it is on the particular finished nymph there, you can adjust the length of those particular feathers by using your fingers, and it looks very natural. If you start to try to mess with the tips of a feather per se, like a partridge or a flank feather, it's not the same anymore, folks. Not the same. So at this point here, I have made a couple of wraps. You can make that as heavy of a collar as you want or light of a collar as you want. Now I'm going to take a whip finish tool, and I'm going to do a series of whip finishes. And each time I do that, I take my finger and I put tension in it. You can see the hook bending in the vise. You are not going to have a hook fly out of this vise, okay? There we go, just like that. Now I'm going to reach in here and I'm going to trim that off. Now I'm going to take my materials, my CDC, I'm going to look. For me, I'm cool with that. I like it being a little bit more buggier. I really enjoy buggy flies. That may not be your cup of tea. If that's the case, that's okay. You have the ability to take your fingers and do what you need to do to make those adjustments. Put a little bit of UV resin on there. Whatever you like to finish your flies with, that's entirely up to you. I'm not going to blind you folks, but here's a cool thing about the Norvise. I can spin it just like so, get that all cured up, and whamma, 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 whamma. If you have any questions about the Norvise fly tying system, the products that they offer, such as the tool that we have over here now, any devices, the hubs, Magnum hubs, the difference between Magnum hubs, standard hubs, all the different jaw configurations. We would love to help you with that as much as we can. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Leave it. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you, folks, for watching. Remember, the Norvise is made in the USA, and it's backed by some awesome people, folks. Y'all take care and have a great day.